I'm nervous because I'm not going to teach you a song, so I feel like I'm just going to talk forever, and I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on me, and I think it's unfair for you to put that kind of pressure on me. I wish you would have more respect for me. Let's talk about how to learn songs by ear. Guys, those annoying guys I just did. Should I start over? Guys, in the comments, tell me, should I start re-recording this video because I'm too annoying at the beginning? Why would I set myself up for this? I have some instructions / tips for you for learning songs by ear. I mean, don't get me wrong. Having all the tablature and tutorials online is amazing. It's fantastic. But sometimes you got that song that you really want to learn and just no one else has taken the time to write it out for you. And then sometimes also you search up the tabs online and you're like, bro, I appreciate the effort you put into writing these tabs out, but it's just not accurate. It doesn't sound like the song when I play it. I think there's something wrong with this. If we're being perfectly honest, even the artist authorized tab books often have little mistakes. Like, I think that's fine. I think little mistakes are no problem. I make little mistakes, but sometimes there's something that you know should be a certain way, and then the book says something different. Like, okay, not to get on my soapbox here, but did you know that the artist authorized book for The Bends by Radiohead doesn't even have the right tuning for all of the songs? That's atrocious. My fake anger was so potent just now that I could feel the book in my hands, that incorrect Bends authorized guitar tablature book. So to be perfectly honest, learning how to learn songs by ear, it's like a whole craft. Like, it does take a lot of work, but I have a series of quick tips for you, which are things that you can do right away to help increase your ability to learn songs by ear. But I also have some big tips, which are things that you're not going to be able to use them like immediately today to help you learn a song. But if you develop some habits, then 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, they will serve you well. And I have one bonus tip as well. Let's see, how many tips do I have total? I have 6 quick tips, and I have 5 big tips, and I have one bonus tip. Guys, quick tip number 1 is learn what chords are in each key. Here's what I mean by this. You know how there's you might not be familiar with keys, but I'm just going to tell you, there are different keys. It basically just means what's the main chord for the song. So if you have a song that goes like G, then C, then D, back to G. You hear how G kind of sounds like the main chord? That means it's in the key of G. If we were in the key of B flat, then B flat sounds like the main chord of the key. But okay, that's actually not what the tip is though. The tip is to memorize the chords in each key. No, I specifically said you didn't have to memorize it. You have to know what they are. I cannot believe we're on the first tip and this is already happening. Guys, if you go, okay. Oh my God. Look at this. It's a big, stupid chart. Here's all the keys. We have the key of G, key of D, key of A. Here's that key of B flat I was talking about. And then here, I have a list of all of the chords that fit in that key. This is just my stupid handwritten one. If we're being perfectly honest, I am putting together a whole thing where I'm going to have a... Look, guys, the future holds many mysteries, including ones involving chord charts and Marin Music Center. But what I'm trying to say is, if you go online and you search for chart of all chords in every key, you will find something very similar to this, and it will just tell you which chords fit together. So then, when you're trying to learn a song and you know there's a G chord in it, you can hear that G chord, then you can pull up your little chart and you go, okay, well, we're in the key of G probably. So that means the G chord, A minor chord, B minor, C, D, E minor, and F diminished, whatever that is. There's a very good chance that one of those chords is going to be the next chord in the song. Oh my goodness. if you have an understanding that certain chords fit together in a key, then instead of you going, I have no idea what the next chord of this song is, we're going from G, maybe it goes to E flat, maybe it goes to F minor, I have no idea. If you can look at the chart to see what other chords are in the key, then it limits it from like 10,000 chords to like 7 chords. That's not, the math is not quite accurate, but you know what I mean. Great. Guys, that's been quick tip number 1. Moving on to big tip number 1. If you, oh my God, just say what the tip is. Don't do a whole preface thing for it. Big tip number 1, start memorizing songs. When you memorize songs, not only do you just remember what the chords are, but you also start to remember how it sounds. If you're reading everything off of a page, your ears don't do nearly as much work. Your ears just kind of like, they just kind of go off and do their own thing, and your eyes and your fingers are doing all the work. But if you memorize a song, your ears are forced to like listen to what's going on to help you remember. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I'm not an audiologist, but I'm pretty sure that, okay. Memorize as many songs as you can. The more songs you memorize, the easier it will be to pick up other songs by ear. Quick tip dos. That's Spanish for 2. I'm surprised you didn't know that. The second quick tip I have is map out the song form before you start trying to figure out what the chords are. Here's what I mean by that. You go, okay, you've got an intro, and then there's a verse, and then it sounds like it repeats that verse. And then it goes to another section. Well, I don't know what we call that section. We'll just call it after verse section. And then it goes to another section, which I'm pretty sure is the chorus. So we have intro, verse, some other section, and then chorus. Great. Oh, and then it does the verse again. Then it does the verse again. Then it does that weird section again. Then it does the chorus again. And then there's a guitar solo. So like, if you write it out, that'll be helpful. Or you can just like listen to the song and keep track of it in your head. Did you see how hard I just poked myself in the eye? I think I'm gonna make a full recovery. Once you have a basic understanding of the song form, like the order of the sections, then you'll realize there's not that many different sections you really have to figure out. There's usually just like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 different sections. Kind of helps with morale because you don't feel like you have 4 minutes of stuff to learn. You really just have like a minute of stuff to learn, and then those different parts repeat. Also, if you don't know what the song form is, sometimes you'll figure out the verse, and then later on there's another verse, and you just start trying to figure it out again by ear, when really you could just go, oh, wait a minute, I think it's just the verse again. Is it just the same thing? Yeah, it is just the same thing again. So that's quick tip number 2. Figure out the song form of the song before you start trying to figure out the notes and the chords. Fantastic. All right, now it's time for big tip number 2. Big tip number 2 is get in the habit of singing along with songs as much as you can. When you're playing, sing along. When you're listening on the radio, not a thing. Sing along. Don't just sing along with the vocal part. Try to sing along with the guitar part to the song. Like, you know this one? Oh. Next time you listen to that, I want you to go bow, 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 bow. Oh, bow, 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 bow. Oh, if you can sing the notes that the guitar is playing, you have a much better shot at being able to figure them out. And okay, and sometimes here's a little extra little bonus tip. Like when I'm trying to figure out a song like that, sometimes I'll put on the song, I'll listen to it, I'll sing along, bow, 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 bow. Then I'll hear the first note, bow, I sing it, I'm singing the note, and then I just try to find it. Oh, look, I found it on the first try. And then I go, okay, bow, bow, bow. Now I have to find that note. I found it. You can just hear a note, sing it, and then bow. And then find it on the guitar like that. There's no shame in that. You look cool doing it. I'm not gonna lie, this video is actually going quite a bit better than I thought it was going to. I thought it was gonna be the biggest disaster. Instead, it is a Minor Threat. It's a band. I've never listened to Minor Threat ever in my entire life. Quick tip Number 3, try to figure out the rhythm before you try to figure out the notes or chords. If you don't have the rhythm accurate, sometimes the notes and chords can sound wrong just because you're not quite playing them at the right time. So here's how you could figure out the rhythm. Literally, I know this sounds ridiculous, but drum the rhythm on your guitar. So you like, listen to the song, it goes, and just, you don't know what the chords are yet, so just go, just try to, literally, it feels ridiculous, drum the rhythm of the guitar part or whatever you're trying to learn, just on your leg, I don't care, but feel the rhythm of the song before you try to learn the notes, and then it will be much easier to learn the correct notes and chords. Fantastic. All right, that was quick tip number 3. On to big tip number 3. I don't like what I have written down for big tip number 3, so we're actually going to skip it. I only have 4 big tips. Sorry, guys. Quick tip number 4 is listen for the bass notes. That could mean the notes the actual bass guitar is playing, or it could be the lowest notes of the guitar. But sometimes you hear this big old chord. Like, okay, you hear this, like, here's a big old chord. And you go, I have no idea what that chord is. Okay, but can you hear what the lowest note is? It can be hard to hear. Bung, bung, bung. Okay, there's the lowest note, and then you can do that trick where you sing it, and then you try to find the lowest note. I found it. So now you still don't know what the full chord is, but you have a really good starting spot. You know what that bass note is. You might even, there might be a song that goes like, and you're like, bruh, I cannot hear the chords. Okay, but can you hear boom, 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 and then you hear, okay, it goes from 6 on the top to 3 on the top to 6 on the second from the top, and then you still have a lot of work in front of you figuring out the actual chords, but you have a place to start. You're not just trying, is it a G? Is it a B flat? Is it an E? Is it a this? You have a starting spot. Great. So quick tip number 4, listen for the bass notes. Big tip number, it says 4, but it's actually 3, is go online and search for ear training intervals or ear training chords. You will find many sites and apps and YouTube videos that quiz you on intervals and chords. An interval is just the distance between 2 notes. So like this note to this note, that's an interval. So some of the quizzes might go like, hey, this is a C, what note is this? And at first you're gonna be like, I have no idea. But if you get in the habit of playing these little like interval ear training games, you will start to recognize the patterns. And or so they might say, this is a C, what note is this? They might say, hey, what is the distance between those 2 notes? And you would have to go, well, I think that's a major 6th right there. Again, not a short-term thing. This is one of the big tips. So it's something that if you every week you find 3 or 4 times to spend like 15 minutes doing this. I know it's not going to happen. I know, but try it out. Ear training intervals and ear training chords. Ear training chords is where they go, hey, here's a chord. Is that a major chord or a minor chord? And you go, ooh, I don't know what the difference is. I'm going to guess. I'm going to say minor. And then it goes, bah, wrong. It's a major chord, you idiot. And then it goes, okay, what about this one? And you go, oh, that one's different. And the other one was major, so this one must be minor. Wrong. It's major again. It's just in a different key. Stupid. You big stupid dumb. So that's big tip number 3. That's kind of like 2 in 1. Okay, let's do this. I skipped big tip number 3. So we'll have big tip number 3 be go online and search for ear training interval games. And then big tip number 4 will be go online and search for chord ear training games. And then just do those a bunch, and it's going to be really great. And then your life is going to be everything you always hoped and dreamed it would be. Quick tip number 5 is listen for alternate tunings or capo usage. So here's what you want to do here. Sometimes you're trying to learn a song and nothing you're doing is working because it turns out they changed the tuning or they have the capo on some other fret. And how are you supposed to know that? Here's what you do. There's two things you can do. If you hear one note that repeats a ton, like there's a song that you keep hearing this note right here. There's all kinds of chords going on, but this note just stays for almost every chord. There's a very good chance that they have the capo on the second fret. So that because what that probably means is they're just not touching that string and the open string sounds like that. Or maybe this note keeps happening the whole time. And then you go, okay, well that note keeps happening. Are any of the open strings, that note right there? No, none of the open strings make that pitch. Maybe they tuned down so that open string just rings out the whole time. So that's one thing, is you listen for the repeated notes that happen throughout all the chords. If you can play that note on an open string, there's a very good chance it's in standard tuning. If you cannot play that note on an open string, there's a very good chance that they detuned or they put a capo somewhere to make that repeated note easily accessible. The other thing that is a good sign there's a capo or alternate tuning is listen for whatever the lowest note of the song is. So the easy thing is if the lowest note of the song is lower than you can play on your guitar, then that means they 100% detuned. Like if this is the lowest note, that's outside of the normal range of the guitar. So they must be in an alternate tuning. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to play that note. If the lowest note, sorry, just a second. If the lowest note that they play for the entire song is this right here, the second fret on the top string, hey, maybe it's Wonderwall you're trying to play and they have a capo on the second fret because they never go any lower than that note. Okay, great, fantastic, amazing. I think that was the worst tip of all of them, except for the one I skipped, which was actually the worst one. Big tip number 5. This is the most important one, but it's also the stupidest one that everyone's gonna hate. Guys, I think it would be it's not to read music. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you learn how to read music. But I think it would be very beneficial if you learned the basics of solfege. What is solfege? Oh, no. Here's the good news. Everyone who knows what solfege is like, yeah, solfege is great. Everyone else is just like, I've never even heard of that. And then you're going to go look it up, though, and you're going to go, oh, you've got to be kidding me. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You want me to do this? Solfege is the Sound of Music thing. It's the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Do, mi, so, ti, do, la, so. Guys, there are these stupid syllables, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, for the 7 notes of the major scale. And then there are other ones that I don't use very often. There's like fi and fi, fi, fo, foam, I smell the... So there's all these syllables for the different notes of a scale. And here's when you first start doing it, you're like, who cares about singing do, re, mi? I'm just going to sing do, do, do. Or I'm just going to sing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's just as easy. Who cares? Guys, I'm telling you, if you start doing some little solfege exercises, I'm sure you can find a ton online where you can just sing along. You'll start to hear that do, re, mi, mi, that third note of the scale has a very specific sound, and you'll associate that sound with the syllable mi, and you'll start to hear how the mi turns to fa, and how the fa goes back to mi, re, do. I'm not trying to force you into being a classical musician. As I said before, I don't even want you to learn how to read notes. I think it's a horrible waste of your time, and your parents and your teachers would all be ashamed of you if you did that. They'd be disappointed in you. But learning to sing with solfege, even if you guys just, I don't know. Okay, moving on. Quick tip number 6. Whenever you're trying to figure something out on guitar, think to yourself, does this make any sense for a guitar player to actually play? Like if you go, okay, I hear this note right here, and then I also hear this note, and then I also hear this note up here. So they must be playing those 3 notes together in the chord. It's like, how would anyone ever come up with that? Or even like, if you go, okay, it mostly sounds like a G chord, but I hear this note in there as well. So how do I do the G and then reach up there? There's a very good chance they found some other reachable place to do it. I don't know, that's a bad example. Here's a better way to look at this. Not only, so I was saying if you hear this note and you hear that note and you put them together, but you're like, Uncle Stuart, I don't hear any notes. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's say that you've deduced that they're playing a G chord, but there's something else going on with this G chord. There's some extra note. There's some little change they made. Chances are they started off with a regular G chord and then just moved one finger. Right? Like, the chances that they played G and then reached up to some crazy spot, highly unlikely. So, quick tip number 6 is just think to yourself, what would make sense to play here? What would a guitarist do? What is within the reach of what they would do? If it's single notes, if there's a little melody or riff, and they're down here, like maybe they shot up here really quickly, but chances are they're just doing something within reach over here. So limit your like options of what could be the next note, what could be the next chord by thinking, what would it make sense? What can my hand physically do? What would it make sense for a guitar player to play here? But that was a bad tip as well. All right, you ready for the bonus tip? And then we'll be done. The bonus tip, and this is a bonus tip because it's not actually by ear, but I do this all the time. Just try to find live videos of someone playing the song. Like if you can find the actual artist playing the song, fantastic. But even if you find someone playing a cover of the song, you can still get the basic idea because you'll just go, okay, are they playing bar chords? Or are they playing open chords? Or are they playing crazy chords I've never seen before? Also, right away you'll be able to know, do they have a capo on the guitar? And there might be a part of the song that you were trying to play up here. Then you go, oh, they're playing it down here. Maybe they're in a different tuning so they can play down here. So that's the bonus tip, is look up live videos. It's obvious, but I don't know. Guys, when I put this list together, I thought it was way more practical and way more fun and helpful, but I don't know. It gave me a chance to yell a bunch. That's all we really want, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do.